There's a number floating around the internet right now that a lot of people think is a scam. Not because it's fake, but because it sounds too simple. People hear it and think, that can't be the whole plan. There has to be more to it. So they go looking for the secret trick, the hidden strategy, the thing nobody's talking about. And while they're busy searching for something complicated, they walk right past the one idea that actually works. Most people think retiring early is about finding some clever loophole, a special investment, a tax trick your accountant doesn't want you to know, something only rich people have access to. That's the story people tell themselves because it's more exciting than the truth. Here's the truth. Early retirement comes down to one simple sentence. Your money needs to make enough each year to cover what you spent without you having to work for it. That's it. That's the whole plan. Everything else, every strategy, every acronym, every YouTube thumbnail with a guy standing in front of a private jet is just a different way of getting to that same finish line. This is Grit Finance, and today we're breaking down FIRE, which stands for Financial Independence Retire Early. Not the version with a private jet, the real version, with real numbers that actually applies to people who have rent to pay and a job they'd maybe like to leave someday. If that sounds like you, stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what it takes, and more importantly, what it doesn't take. Let's start with the foundation, because almost nobody explains this part clearly. There's a guideline called the 4% rule. It says that if you have a big enough pile of invested money, you can pull out 4% of it every year, and historically, that pile should last you a very long time without running dry. So if you want to know how much you need to retire, you basically flip the math around. Take how much you spend in a year and multiply it by 25. Spend £30,000 a year, you need about $750,000 invested. Spend £50,000 a year, you need about $1.25 million. Spend £80,000 a year, you need about $2 million. Most people hear those numbers and immediately feel their stomach drop. £1 million? $2 million? That feels impossible, like something reserved for people who inherited money or got lucky with a startup. But here's where most people get the whole thing backwards. They think the answer is earn more money. And sure, that helps, but there's a lever sitting right next to it that does something way more powerful, and almost nobody pulls it hard enough. That lever is your savings rate, and this is where the real story of FIRE actually begins. Why does the percentage of your income you save matter more than almost anything else? Let's find out. The delusion most people carry around is that saving money only helps you in one way. You put money aside, it sits there, it grows a bit, and eventually you have more of it. Simple, linear, one direction. Here's the part they're missing. Every single pound you save is doing two jobs at once. Job number one, it's growing your investments, which gets you closer to your number. Job number two, it's shrinking your number, because you're spending less, which means you need less to live on once you stop working. Save more and your target shrinks while your progress speeds up, at the same time, from the same pound. Let's do the cold math. Say two people both earn £50,000 a year after tax. Person A saves 10%. That's £5,000 a year. They're living on £45,000, which means, using our 25 times rule, they eventually need $1.125 million to retire. Person B saves 50%. That's £25,000 a year. They're living on £25,000, which means they only need £625,000 to retire. Person B is saving 5 times more money every single year and needs almost £500,000 less to hit their goal. That's not a small difference. That's the difference between working until you're 65 and potentially done in your 40s. Same income, same job, same starting point, completely different outcome because of one number, the percentage they chose to live on. The protocol here isn't complicated. Before you chase a side hustle or a better paying job, look at your savings rate first. It's the one thing you have almost total control over, and it moves the finish line from both directions at once. Now, before you start feeling bad about your own progress, let's talk about someone real. Well, not real, but realistic. Let's call him Paul. Paul is 35. He's a teacher, earning £58,000 a year after tax and pension contributions. He brings home about £3,600 a month after tax. Sounds decent, right? But then reality shows up. Rent, transport, food, utilities, insurance, student loans, and he's also helping support an aging parent. By the time all of that is paid, Paul has about £700 left over each month to invest. Paul isn't lazy. He isn't bad with money. He's disciplined. He tracks his spending. He's doing everything the personal finance influencers tell him to do. And yet, his progress toward financial independence is slow because most of his paycheck is already spoken for before he even sees it. This is the part of the FIRE conversation that gets left out of most videos because it's less exciting than talking about compound interest. For a lot of people, the biggest obstacle to early retirement isn't bad habits, it's income. You cannot save your way to freedom on a salary that barely covers your bills. At some point, growing your income stops being an option and starts being the whole game. So let's talk about the different paths people take once they understand this, because FIRE isn't one single strategy. It's a family of strategies, and which one fits you depends on your income, your goals, and how much comfort you're willing to trade for speed. First up, lean FIRE. This is the aggressive, stripped-down version. People doing lean FIRE live in smaller homes, drive used cars, and keep spending to a minimum. Because they need less money each year to live on, their target number is much smaller too. The upside is obvious. You get there faster. The downside is just as real. There's very little cushion if something unexpected happens. A cracked windshield or a broken boiler can throw the whole plan off. On the opposite end, there's fat FIRE. This is for people who want financial independence without giving up comfort. Instead of cutting expenses to the bone, they focus on building high-income careers, running businesses, or investing large amounts of money. It takes a much bigger portfolio to get there, but the retirement on the other side looks a lot more comfortable. Sitting right in the middle is Chubby FIRE. Not stripped down like lean, not extravagant like fat, just a comfortable lifestyle with enough room to handle emergencies, take a vacation now and then, and not panic every time the car needs a repair. Then there's a completely different way of thinking about all of this, called coast FIRE. And this one flips the whole question on its head. What if the goal isn't when can I retire, but when can I stop saving? Let's use Michael as an example. Michael is 30, works as an engineer, and has been saving aggressively through his 20s. He gets his portfolio to £250,000. Here's the delusion most people would assume at this point, that Michael now needs to keep grinding, saving huge amounts every month all the way until retirement. But that's not how compound growth works. If that £250,000 just sits there and grows at a reasonable long-term rate, it can turn into a very large number by the time Michael hits 60, without him adding another pound. That means from age 30 onward, Michael doesn't need to keep piling money in aggressively. He just needs to earn enough to cover his current lifestyle. The retirement fund is already coasting toward the finish line on its own. The protocol with Coast FIRE is this. Front load your saving hard while you're young, let time and compounding do the heavy lifting, and use the years after that to actually enjoy a bit more breathing room in your day-to-day life instead of white-knuckling every paycheck until you're 60. Next up is Barista FIRE, and this one is for people who don't want to fully retire, they just want fewer hours and less pressure. Instead of relying entirely on their investments, they work a lighter, less stressful job that covers part of their living costs. This means they're pulling less money out of their portfolio, they might still get some job benefits, and their savings have an easier time surviving a bad stretch in the market because they're not draining it as fast. Then there's slow FIRE, which pushes back against the whole sacrifice everything now, enjoy life later mindset. Instead of racing towards some far-off finish line while being miserable the whole way there, slow FIRE is about enjoying your life today, saving consistently, choosing work you don't dread, and building security gradually. The idea is simple. Build a life you don't need to escape from in the first place. Now let's talk about one of the fastest ways to move the finish line closer, and it has nothing to do with your salary. It's called geoarbitrage, cold math time. Say someone is spending £3,000 a month living in an expensive city. They move somewhere with a lower cost of living, maybe a smaller town, maybe another country entirely, and their monthly expenses drop to £1,800. That's a difference of £1,200 a month, or £14,400 a year. Using our 25 times rule, that single decision can shrink their financial independence target by roughly £360,000. One decision, no side hustle required. Of course, this isn't as simple as booking a flight. Moving internationally comes with immigration rules, tax questions, healthcare arrangements, and legal details that need real planning. But even moving somewhere cheaper within your own country can make a serious dent in your number.
Real estate is another path people lean on, though it's not the guaranteed wealth machine some people make it out to be. One popular approach is called house hacking. You buy a property with multiple units, live in one, and rent out the others. The rent from your tenants covers a big chunk, sometimes all of your mortgage. You're not necessarily making a fortune overnight. What you're really doing is attacking one of your biggest monthly expenses, housing, and shrinking it dramatically.
Dividend investing comes up a lot in these conversations too, and there's a delusion attached to it that's worth clearing up. A lot of people think dividends are free money, extra cash that shows up on top of your investment's value. Here's the cold math truth. When a company pays out a dividend, its share price generally drops by roughly that same amount, because that cash has literally left the company. Dividends aren't free money falling from the sky. They're just one way a company chooses to hand your ownership stake back to you in cash, instead of letting it grow inside the business. The real value was always in owning a piece of a good company, not in the dividend itself. Then there's the entrepreneurship path, which explains a lot of the eye-popping early retirement stories you see online. Most people who retire in their 30s didn't get there by saving a chunk of their salary every month for years. They built a business and eventually sold it. Selling a company can create more wealth in a single transaction than decades of saving from a paycheck ever could. It's a completely different game with completely different risks. And a smaller group of people get a head start through government retirement benefits. Things like military pensions after a long service career, or certain government pension schemes with more flexible rules than what's available in the private sector. These aren't available to everyone, and eligibility depends heavily on your specific job and location. But for the people who have them, they can shave years off the timeline. Now here's the question that trips a lot of people up once they actually reach their number. If most of your money is sitting inside retirement accounts with age restrictions, how do you actually access it before the official retirement age? There are legal strategies for this. In the US, there's something called substantially equal periodic payments, sometimes called Rule 72T, which allows structured early withdrawals under specific conditions. There are also Roth conversion ladders and the option to redraw your original Roth contributions since those were already taxed going in. Each of these comes with detailed rules, and getting the tax planning wrong can be expensive, so this is an area where careful planning matters more than guessing. And speaking of things that can quietly wreck a good plan, let's talk about healthcare, because this is one of the most underestimated expenses in early retirement. When you leave full-time work, you usually leave your employer-sponsored health insurance behind with it. For a lot of early retirees, healthcare becomes one of the single biggest ongoing costs until they qualify for public healthcare programs tied to a certain age. On top of that, certain withdrawals can actually affect your eligibility for healthcare subsidies, which means tax planning isn't just about paying less tax, it's about protecting access to affordable care. Now here's a question worth asking directly. Is the 4% rule some kind of guarantee? No, and anyone telling you it is hasn't done their homework. The 4% rule comes from historical market data. It's a guideline, not a promise. Different researchers have proposed safe withdrawal rates anywhere from around 3% up to nearly 5%, depending on how long your retirement is, how your money is invested, what the economy is doing, which country you live in, and how markets perform in the future, which nobody can predict with certainty. The real lesson here isn't memorize 4% and never think about it again. It's that flexibility matters more than chasing one perfect number. This connects to something called sequence of returns risk, and it's one of the sneakiest dangers in early retirement. Imagine two investors who both earn the exact same average return over 30 years. Sounds like they should end up in the same place, right? Not necessarily. If one of them hits a big market downturn in the first few years of retirement while they're also pulling money out to live on, that early damage can permanently shrink their portfolio in a way the second investor, who happened to avoid an early crash, never experiences. Same average return, wildly different outcomes, just because of when the bad years happen to land. This is exactly why flexibility, like being willing to cut back spending during a rough market stretch, can make or break a retirement plan. There's also a bigger, quieter warning buried in a lot of FIRE success stories. Many of the people you see online who retired early did it during a period when the stock market performed exceptionally well.
That doesn't mean it's a fluke, but it does mean future returns might not be as generous. A solid financial plan built in a margin of safety instead of assuming the best years in market history will just keep repeating forever. And here's something that doesn't get said often enough. Financial independence isn't purely discipline. Income plays a massive role. Someone earning twice as much as someone else usually isn't spending twice as much on housing, food, or basic bills. As income goes up, the percentage you're able to save tends to go up too, because your fixed costs don't scale at the same speed your paycheck does. This isn't an excuse to give up if you're not earning a huge salary. Remember Paul from earlier. Discipline still matters enormously, but it's an honest acknowledgement that financial independence depends on both personal choices and economic circumstances, not willpower alone. One more thing before we wrap this up, and it's important. Beware of survivorship bias. Most of the FIRE stories you see online come from the people who made it. The people who tried, miscalculated their expenses, and had to go back to work rarely make a video about it. This creates a skewed, overly rosy picture of how easy this actually is. Every real financial plan needs to leave room for being wrong, because you probably will be, at least a little. So here's the actual lesson underneath all of this. Financial independence was never about stacking up the biggest possible number in an investment account. It's about buying yourself enough security to live according to your own priorities instead of someone else's schedule. The best FIRE strategy isn't the most extreme one, and it isn't the one that gets the most views online. It's the one that actually fits your income, your goals, your health, your family, and the life you actually want to live. Instead of obsessing over retiring at the earliest possible age, a lot of people would be better off aiming for something a little different, a point where work becomes optional, where your savings rate stops dominating every single decision you make, where you can actually enjoy the journey instead of holding your breath until some finish line in the distance. We covered the foundation today, the math, the strategies, and the traps. But there's one part of this we haven't touched yet. The part where a good plan on paper meets real life and things don't go the way the spreadsheet said they would. This has been Grit Finance. We break down exactly this kind of thing every week. Understanding your money isn't complicated once someone actually explains it to you straight. That's what we do here.